Who decides if you are essential? So one thing that has come out of the current pandemic is this unfortunate term, essential. Essential worker, non-essential worker, non-essential. Who gets to decide this? Who decides if what you do is essential? Essential to who? Can you truly find somebody who is essential to everyone? Or do you have to be essential to 50% plus one people in a certain given area? How do you come to this decision? I think there are going to be some negative effects from this, from using this term out there. I understand it's somewhat useful, somewhat politically useful, somewhat socially useful to currently use it right now. But when does this stop? When do things go back? Are there certain things where you say, okay, in this different situation, this is no longer essential? If someone is deemed to be essential right now, do they now continue that essentiality too much longer after the situations return to what they might have been prior to this pandemic? There is going to be an effect of some people who felt their job was rather essential and they felt some kind of pride out of that, and now they were told all of a sudden, no, what you do is not essential. You have some people who are able to continue making a living, continue doing what they're doing, not because you could say it is technically more useful than somebody else, but just because it's more flexible. It's something that they can do in a certain situation that might not require certain things that are limited. There's some things where you don't have to socialize. Some things can be done from the supposed safety of one's own home, and some other things can't. So some of the things that might be deemed non-essential, it's not necessarily the quality or content of what was being done, but it's just the how that thing was being done. Now, when the supposed danger is gone, will people say we have to go back to that supposed non-essential way of doing this thing that we now consider to be essential again? So this is rather subjective. For example, you can say the people who actually rescue people from accidents are essential people, from car accidents and things like that. But now, if you limit the actual number of people driving, if you cut it off completely, are these people essential anymore? No, some of these people are essential in part due to so many people there on the actual roads. So if you take away the reason for the people to be on the roads, if you say what the people are going to actually do, being on those roads is no longer essential, then that reduces the quote-unquote essentiality of the actual people who can save them from the supposed accidents that would happen if they actually were on those roads. Now forget these direct people. For those people to do their essential work, how many other people have to do whatever it is they're doing to supply them the actual gear, to supply the machines, to supply the energy, to supply the vehicles, for them to actually get to the places that can help these people? Some of those people who are on the roads, who you're telling them they can't be on the roads anymore, were going to jobs that did supply the actual ability and resources that those so-called essential people needed to save the people from the car accidents on the actual roads. So by telling them they can no longer be on those roads to go to those non-essential jobs, you're not only taking away the actual accidents and harm and things that make these supposed essential workers actually capable, but you're actually taking away the ability for those essential workers to actually carry on that supposed essential thing that they need to do. Now you take this away. What personally is essential to you? What is essential about the jobs that you do? I've talked about this in separate videos, have some that I don't think I've posted yet. I might have posted by the time I post this up. But specifically with someone like LeBron James. He's a basketball player. Best basketball player in the world right now. I think, inarguably, I think we can accept that. He's up there. But he originally said that he found it to be essential for him to have to play in front of fans. Fans had to be there at the stadiums. And now you're seeing certain places, I think it is in Korea, South Korea, they're opening up stadiums with fake people in the seats. These banners, printed out people in the seats. I'm like, oh, why even put that in there? But now people are starting to talk about how essential is it to open up some of these sporting events with actual fans in there? How essential is it for the fans to be there? Now that's for the actual playing of it. You can say the game itself is not essential, but then you have a lot of money involved in this. So many other people are involved in this. These people employ hundreds of thousands of people, probably tens of millions, probably 100 million people, at least 100 million people. If you look at globally, the people who are actually directly or one or two steps away, removed from the actual direct clubs and sports and arenas that are actually involved in the professional sporting leagues all over the world. So how essential is it for those to reopen? one could argue that, oh, it's essential because you're actually hiring these people. You can't furlough these people. But now you reopen those things. How many of those people have to come back immediately? Now, if it's reopened for them to play basketball, like I heard them talking about actually getting all the NBA players and moving to Disney World in Florida because they have an entire sports complex there, they can get the actual doctors and maintain some kind of quarantines and limitations of the actual interaction, decide what food they're eating, and have a limited schedule for these people to actually play. So it will be on a much reduced scale than those probably tens of millions of people that are actually directly involved with your average practice of a basketball season being completed. So one might argue that, okay, you found that to be essential enough to restart for those people involved in there, but would it also mean that now it's essential for you to be able to go to the neighborhood basketball court and play there? Is that now essential for you to be able to go out there and play sports? And we're also finding out that even just being outside simply might actually be a situation where just the vitamin D and just reducing the ability for this to actually spread when you're in the great outdoors is turning out to be a rather positive thing. Whereas this might have been a limitation that was not considered. It's not essential for you to just be outside of the house. You have to essentially stay inside in order to do XYZ. So some of this must come from people just not having that awareness with just the general economics of things and how connected society is. There's this one line that stuck with me since I heard it way back in the day, and I was actually remembering it wrong, but it's from Andre 3000 in the Elevator song from the AT Aliens album. He's talking to a fan, and he says this. True, I've got more fans than the average man, but not enough loot to last me. To the end of the week, I'll live by the beat like you live check to check. If you don't move your feet, then I don't eat, so we like neck to neck. So I used to remember that as, I remembered this line as, if you don't move your feet, then I don't eat, so we like neck to neck. And I thought this was more just towards the way I was remembering it, or the way I was using it was him just saying, hey, if you don't actually go around and you do what you need to do in your life, then I'm also relying on the things that you do in your life in a secondary way. But here he's actually talking about directly, which goes more closer to the thing LeBron was saying. And with LeBron was also talking about that, hey, most people watch this stuff online, so it doesn't necessarily matter. But even with this, he says, if you don't move your feet, then I don't eat, so we like neck to neck. And the difference with this, like the club bangers, when he makes certain albums, when you make certain music, you might see this on TV, most of us might see this on YouTube and things like this, but most of these people make money on the people who actually buy those albums. And part of that is getting radio play, is being played in the clubs. And those are the people that go out and actually buy those albums. The majority of the people, 99% maybe of the actual fans of these people, don't necessarily directly pay them, but the people who feel they can come to the concerts, they can go to the clubs and listen to these people and have them move and dance to it, those are the people that actually put money in these people's pockets. Then they can actually go and actually spend money on their family. They can actually go and they can actually eat. And a lot of these people did come up from very low places in order to actually get their craft going, get up there. And some of them have to maintain that in a different way. So when you get in this situation and you're starting to decide who is essential and who isn't, some of the people you might think are not essential do need to actually make their money, that check to check money, in order for these other people, these so-called essential people, to be able to actually make a check. And I think that's something that a lot of people are starting to realize how little we might have understood about that. And I hope that's something that we don't backtrack on. That's something that we remember as a society and see how connected some of us are and strengthen the connections that are worthwhile and let go of the ones that we think don't exist. So who decides if you are essential? Who decides what you should consider essential? Who are these supposed experts you're going to call on to? Is it these medical experts? Is it the political experts? Is it the economic experts? Is the person who decides if a haircut is essential to you the same person who says the haircut is essential for them because they are the face of Chicago and they have to be on TV and they have to look in a certain way so they can have their hair styled and you can't? Is it somebody who comes up with a report saying these many people will die if we don't actually stay home, but then with the access to that information still decides it's essential that I go out and see this married woman despite her having a husband and all this? Is that who decides who's essential? Who decides when enough time has passed for you to get back to the business that you had put sweat, blood, and tears into that was finally turning a profit, that you've been sitting there watching just crumble down? Is it the person who years ago, decades ago, put in a lot of work into their business that now it's so successful that they're just making so much money off of simply the interest on their savings? Just every minute, they make more than the amount of money you just put into your business finally sure that this will finally get you over that hump, and now you're just watching that investment you put in, that stock, just going to waste day after day? Is that the person who decides? So once again, who decides if you are essential? I think that should come down to you. You should be the one who decides that. The people in your life, the people around you. Somebody might have control on what you actually do, but don't let them control how you actually feel about how essential you personally are. So that's it for this one. This is part of my shorty series where I expand on short thoughts and put them in video form or audio form, and I post it to hopefully engage you in conversation. And I just appreciate you taking your time to actually listen to these. There should be links to a merchandise store where I post different things on them. I think I will post something with this essential thing up there. Just who decides if you're essential? That will be up at the merchandise store. I've been posting these videos, creating this content, especially here on YouTube in this kind of video form since 2017. It's 2020 now. And I'm trying to think of how to make it to be more of an essential part of my life. And I think for more importance when it comes to continuing doing this, trying to find a way where it's more essential for the listener and the viewers' lives. And then maybe there can be more interaction and support this. Because for me, just being able to share this out there is already an outlet for me. It's something that I've found to be essential to get these ideas out of my mind. But I'm trying to find different ways to make this financially lucrative, where I can say, okay, this is an essential part of me being an independent human being and going out and spreading this message. Because I also think some of these things would be more important if they actually were spread more far and wide than I'm actually reaching people right now. So let me know how I can do that. If you think I can present this in different ways, if you like what I'm doing with this, what do you think I can improve on? What do you think I should let go of? Let me know in the comment section. Till next time, links to the merchandise store, like, share, subscribe, and all of that. Goodbye.
Hapa hiyo ikitokea hiyo. Waacha